August 20th, 2016. I'm Ody Anderson with Fireside Sounds. I'm here with Kyle Tuttle, who's going to present his new record, Bobcat, tonight. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
You guys have a nice trip down?
We sure did, man. We sure did. Beautiful drive. Easy.
Welcome to Fernandina Beach.
Yeah, it's great to be here, man.
Couple questions for you. I've listened to parts of Bobcat. How would you describe Bobcat from the person who brought it upon us?
Describe how? What do you mean? How would I describe it? Like
the feel of it in
It's
musically.
like it's like an acoustic music. I jokingly call it a banjo record because it's banjo music, you know, and I wrote it on the banjo for the most part, but it's a lot more modern. It's not. It's modern sounding. It's based on grooves and rhythms and jams, long improvised solos. It's not as like straight ahead bluegrass material, although it draws really heavily on those bluegrass sounds.
Right.
You know, it's a bit of a fusion project.
I'll tell you what I've listened to so far. I have actually dubbed bluegrass fusion.
Awesome.
So
well, there you go. Right on, man. Perfect.
Yeah. So you wrote this record. What actually influences Kyle Tuttle to write a record like Bobcat? What were your influences when you kind of drew into that? Because it's not, man, I mean, it's like you said, it's not standard bluegrass.
Yeah, no, songs, okay, so bluegrass, banjo songs, a lot of times when banjo players make a record, banjo songs typically are based on banjo-ish ideas, just like anything. I guess that's a dumb thing to say, but banjo players most often take a banjo concept, a certain roll, a certain sound, a little lick or something, and base the song around that, you know. And the way that I write is more like a melody. A lot of times, the impetus of a song for me is I don't even have an instrument in my hand, and I may just be like walking down the aisle at the grocery store or whatever, and I hear a melody, and it's usually a single note melody like you could sing, not like banjo sounds, you know. So then most of the time I go and transfer. I have to sit down later and figure out a if you will, banjo way to play something that's maybe more like a line that a singer would sing, or like a fiddle might play, or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, a lot of melodies and grooves, as opposed to like be like sitting down and like playing a banjo type idea, you know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
You've played with a lot of people. Do you have a favorite collaboration that you've been a part of?
Ooh, man,
you've been all over the place.
I've done so many things, man. It's really hard to say. I mean, I feel like I am fortunate in that I get to do so many types of gigs. You know, I can do everything from like suits and ties, straight ahead bluegrass music, to jam band stuff where I'm playing electric banjo and, you know, effects pedals and long drawn out improvised parts and stuff, you know. And I mean, I like both sides of it so much. I don't know that I could say. I mean, yeah, my favorite collaboration is what I'm doing right now, because with these guys I'm doing both of that, and that's the biggest thing. What I want to be able to do is jam out and get loose on a song, and then as soon as that's over, flip the switch and play hard driving bluegrass the real way, you know, with something that a bluegrass fan would appreciate too, you know.
Yeah. So
yeah, I guess if I had to say what's my favorite thing I've done, it's this. Nice. Man.
Cool. Well, we can't wait to hear it tonight. Yeah. On those lines, Hasty Dixie, tell me more. I want to know more.
When you said what's one of my favorites, that was definitely in the top ones that ran through my mind. But man, that's where to start. That's such an interesting thing.
I have so I've been probably from the very onset of the CDR that came through and slammed America and beyond. I've been a fan, right?
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. And I have what I think Hasty Dixie is about, and I guarantee you they are not what I think
one of the things that threw me was that I find so interesting, and even so, they were doing this U.S. tour, and we know some mutual friends, and so ultimately I got a phone call and talked to the dude, and it seemed like we were going to get along well, and it would work out well, and so, you know, and they sent me, I got all the material, I practiced it, got all the stuff, I was ready to go on the gig. Didn't understand until I showed up to do the first show, basically, that it's not a bluegrass band playing rock songs. it's a rock and roll band playing bluegrass instruments, and those are very different things, right? And I had when you
That's
listen
a whole
to the
different feel.
exactly, and when you listen to the records, especially those first two records that sold so many copies in the States, almost give you the impression that it is like a bluegrass band playing rock songs. But when you actually see the show, man, it's a rock band, and the John Wheeler, the guy who's the brain behind the thing, man, he's very serious about that. It's a rock show, you know, and once you get to know him and get to know his influences, and then once I did the first show, I was like, oh, I get it, man. I mean, and it's also like musical theater, man. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen them live, but
I've seen some video.
Yeah, there's all these bits that aren't like rehearsed comedy bits, but the guy John Wheeler is basically a comedian, you know, to some degree, and so the show it's one part musical theater, one part stand-up comedy, one part rock and roll band, and then there's just happens to be bluegrass instruments is what's in their hands. It's really, at the end of the day, I would say that's how
That's
put
cool.
it.
I've been a fan, and I'm really proud to say that Fireside Sounds is actually hosting someone that's played in Hayseed Dixie. That's a big thing.
On
Cool.
Hayseed alumni.
Yeah. So 3 personal influences.
Musically, 3 just
Whatever. An influence, man. Someone that's drawn on you personally.
Yeah, some good questions here, man. I should have thought.
Fireside Sounds is out of the ordinary, by the way.
Exactly. Deep thoughts with Ody and Kyle. Man, personal influences. Okay, let me think about this.
We can come back if you want.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
It's all. I mean, musically, yeah, like Bela Fleck, you know, is a huge influence on me, and in that, first of all, in his. I fell in love with the sound of his banjo playing, you know, and there was a couple of years where I was like going after that. I was like, I want to sound like that. I want to be as close as I can be to what he does, you know. And ultimately, I've been able to meet him and become friends with him, and he's really cool in that, like, he's like, dude, don't sound like me, dude. Do you sound like you know? And that's when hearing that coming from a hero of yours is like, oh, maybe you're right, but you're probably right. I probably shouldn't try and sound like you know. And so musically, and then later personally, he's been hugely influential on me. You know, when your hero kind of gives you the go ahead to be like, no, it's cool to do what you hear and do what you think. You know, it's like, okay, cool, man. Maybe it is cool. You know, so that's So Bela's huge, you know, for me for that reason. And oh man, that's tough, you know. Yeah, Jerry Garcia, man. I mean, I love the Dead, and I love everything that music embodies. You know, the community and the music, and that's something that I really want also to be a part of my show. You know, I mean, we're playing some Dead stuff, but also like that concept. You know, the concept behind the whole thing. Man. It's cool. It's loose. It's always different. There's no rules. There's no like, oh.
Be kind, that's the only rule.
Yeah, exactly. Be kind, man. And musically, you know, it's like the stuff just rolls off, man. Jerry didn't walk off stage beating himself up over they didn't nail the 3rd turnaround in Dark Star that time, you know. It's like, that's not what it's about. And that's what, with these guys that I'm working with, I got some awesome players, and I'm trying really hard, because a bunch of these dudes, we're all professional sidemen all the time, and a lot of times you are expected to do something, and you got to get it just right, man. And if you don't get it just right, the boss is going to be a little bit disappointed in you, because that's what you got hired to nail this thing, and that's not what I want to do. You know, it's like, man, let's jam, let's have fun, dude. Remember how fun music is, like when there's not rules and when you're not like stressed out about it. So I feel like the Grateful Dead, you know, huge influence on me in that way. All I want out of this is I want to be able to go around and play in little rock clubs, you know, 200-person rooms. They don't have to be full. To people that like to dance, that like to shake a tail feather and cut loose to fun party music, you know. And so if I can turn my career into making it full time under my own name, or as a co-owner in a project that's doing basically what I just described, which is a pretty lower level, you know, I'd be that's success to me, man. I'd be happy, you know. I mean, if the world has it in store for me to be on private jets and stuff, I'll take it, you know. But like I don't need that, you know. I just want to be able to play and pay the bills and have fun doing it, you know. And to be able to kind of like like what I was just saying about to be able to provide that family. Family community, like the people that love your music are like a family, and they all love to go to the show, you know, like a Dead show, and they all like to have fun. I mean, that to me, that's success. When people walk away with a big old smile on their face, and they're like, man, that was the funnest time, you know, I had a great time listening to your music. It's like that's successful, you know.
Cool. That's a good measure right there.
Yeah.
So this is a question that I struggle with as an ex-band member, now a promoter, and just a lover of music in general.
Mm-hmm.
But has the digital age kind of doomed musicians monetarily, do you think?
Man, it's just, I think we're still finding out. I think we're still figuring that out, you know? Album sales in the past, 10 years are down. It's like, you can read different statistics, different places, but roughly 88%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost 100% gone, you know? And so, and my record's available on, Spotify and iTunes and YouTube and Apple Music and all those places. And I've got some checks in the mail. They're small, but they exist, you know, and every little bit counts. And just, there's actually, I just saw the other day, I checked, and I saw a check and it's only for $200, but still, I was like, I did a double take and went and started track. You can track all that stuff, the data, figure out where people are streaming, how people are streaming through all this digital distribution stuff. And I was like, there's no way there's a $200 check from me from Spotify, you know. So I went down there, and sure, I'm lucky enough to have a couple of those tunes that have ended up on some hand-selected playlists. And so there's a few tunes on Spotify off of my record that have 70,000 streams on them, you know, which is super cool, and I'm really humbled by that. And there's a little bit of money there. Yeah. So doomed, I don't know. I think we're still figuring it out, you know.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
I want to be positive about it and hope that we can find a good way.
And you know what? And I think just from what you just said, I think that it is finding its way, and certain major artists are actually assisting the smaller artists, whether they know it or not.
Sure, yeah, and this, you know, there's been a few big people pull out of Spotify and those things, and that's kind of sending a statement up the ladder, you know, like, hey, you can't everything.
Some of those artists I personally don't care for, but you know what? I hold them with very high regards.
Agreed, same. So. And I think that's cool, and you know. It does get out. I mean, those are valuable tools. Like I said, a couple of tunes on my record have got 70,000 streams. That's and some awesome. People I'm sure are this computer streaming, and they're in the other room washing the dishes, but my stuff is in the background in their head, and I'm getting a fraction of a cent down the line somewhere for it. So that's not bad. I mean, you know, it could be not that. So I don't know.
It could be totally worse.
And it's putting more. People are carrying their record, putting it on for sale on the table, and a lot of people are putting out their own albums now. This thing's not on a label, you know. I own it. I put it out. I did the whole thing, and therefore, when I sell a copy of that record, it's going 100% back in my pocket. The model used to be that the label put up the money for it, and then you show up and you buy the record from them for $7, and you sell it for $10, and you only made $3 on the whole thing. And so nowadays most people are owning and selling their own records, and that's a good step to me. That's a step in a cool direction, you know. And that a couple of years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, no one's goal was ever even to own their own record, because that's not how the model worked. And so you end up with a lot of people that make cool records that they don't own anymore. You know what I mean? And that's interesting.
And we've heard that story many times.
Exactly.
From people that you would think that would just be gazillionaires, but it's not the case.
But someone else made a bunch of money on them, and they're famous. Everyone knows their name, but they may not have any money from that. And so that's, to me, going towards more ownership is definitely a positive thing, you know, and that's been something that I've become way more aware of now that I'm doing this on my own, you know, and getting out there and and doing the thing. And like with this disc, you can download it. It's available digitally all over the internet, but you can't get a physical copy anywhere except from me. So like, and I could send physical distribution out to some other places too, and I would lose some money on it. You know what I mean? So it's one of the. I'm holding on to something. It's like if you want a physical one, you got to get on my website and you got to send me money for it, you know. And I'm going to put it, and I'm going to or you got to come to a show, or you know, and for getting on my website and buying it from me, I'm going to go to the post office and stand there in line and put it in, and it's going to be a little handwritten note saying thanks for buying my record, you know. And there's something cool and personal about that, you know. And so that's.
Reminds me of something I was thinking of doing, which is going back to like the mail order ticketing system.
I was talking to someone recently about that, man. Yeah.
I struggle with ticketing with what I do, and I really thought about going to a mail order system.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like whoever sends in the coolest envelope, it's like, okay, cool, you just got a free ticket, you know? Yeah.
That's cool. You played a lot of places over your career. Do you have a favorite venue? And if so, how come that's your particular favorite venue? Like I'll say right now, Great American Music Hall in San Francisco is my favorite venue that I've seen music at, for the reason that it truly is a great American music hall.
Right. Yeah. Huh. Oh, man.
You played some pretty sweet venues too.
I've played some really cool places, man. Yeah. They're all so different, you know. I love little dive bars, man.
Right.
You know, I mean that's a big part of what I like to be in. I played the old Georgia Theater in Athens, Georgia. It was actually the night that it burned down. My band played in there, and it burned down. We didn't do it. We were expunged or freed from. I talked to the Clark County Fire Department, and they let me go. No problems. But I got to play the last show in that old theater, you know, like back, which is like where. Fish and Widespread Panic were playing before it's all redone. That was really cool. Speaking of that band, Fish too, I played at Nectar's Lounge up in Burlington, Vermont, which is like where they kind of got their start, and where a bunch of other hip, jam bands,
Probably
jam
a good
bands.
Vibe in that place.
Yeah, man. So that place is really cool. I like, you know, you kind of feel something special about that. It's got a little bit of magic about it, just because you know all the cool shows that went down there. Right. Yeah. Those are some of my favorites.
You have any thoughts on like house concerts? Since Fireside Sounds is kind of our little niche in the world here. Some thoughts on it?
Oh man, I like them a lot. You know, I've done everything from really cool ones to kind of poorly handled ones. You know, and I like these, man. These are all on the list of really cool ones that I've done for sure. Of course, you get locations which are like out of control, awesome. So that never hurts. But yeah, it can be really cool, man. I mean, you get this opportunity to connect with people a lot of times in a way that you're just not going to get in a venue, and people have their guard down. I mean, once people start rolling in here with their own cooler and their lawn chair that they got their own butt cheeks have worn the perfect spot in, you know, it's like everyone is almost always in a really cool space when they're going to a house concert, you know what I mean? And then when everything else is done well, man, it can be super special to me, you know. And it's also a nice mix. Like it's nice to have a good mix of different, you know. I mean, rock clubs are great, but when you play 20 rock clubs in a row, can I just go someplace that isn't gross and dark, you know? And then it's like, well, this is not gross and dark.
You're the third the third musician that I've done interviews with that I've hosted have said that exact same thing that you just said. It is a break from the rock club.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny, man. Yeah, it's different. You become a vampire, you know, you sleep all day and you spend all night in a dark, dingy place.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, because I've been that individual before, and I tend to like that too.
Right, yeah. Well, so, it's nice to have all of it, you know.
Along those lines, you're out on the road for a long stretch of time. What keeps your sanity? What keeps Kyle Tuttle going on the road when it's, you know, 20 days in a rock club and van rides in between?
Yeah, man. It's hard to say.
You look healthy, man. So I'll say that much. So you're doing something right.
Yeah, well, see, I can't tell. I stay skinny. I don't know if it's from not eating or just not eating enough. It's hard to say, but you know, I just love to play, man, and so that's a big part. I mean, you know, the days are tough sometimes, but I love being in different places too. I mean, a big part of it is, and the more friends you build, the more people you see, you know, the more you can look forward to, you know, oh, I got these 10 days and I know at this one I'm going to see this person, and at this one I'm going to see this person, and at this one I'm going to get to go to the beach, and at this, so
it's cool. It sounds like you kind of take it a day at a time to a certain degree on a calendar of, hey man, you know what, in 3 days this is going to happen. And
and sanity, man. I mean, sometimes I don't have any sanity left, and it's like this. It's so the only time it's real tough, man. Sometimes you just need a little rest and you can't get it. That's about the only thing that really gets me. Sometimes you get frustrated and whatever. You're stuck in traffic. All those things pass. It's whatever, man. The hardest part of it, sometimes it's like, I just need 30 minutes to be left alone and not talk to anyone and take a nap, and there is no time and no place for that to happen in the next 6 hours, and it's like, those are tough days, but man, those are few and far between, so.
Tour bus or van, what would be your preference? They both have great aspects about them.
They both have great things, man. The bus, I mean, I've only been on a bus a couple times. It's awesome. It's really expensive too, There's a few things, man. The van, there's something about being in the 15-passenger van with your buddies rolling down the highway that's just so fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so fun, man. And the bus, I think you lose a little bit of that, and the bus, another thing, the bus has a schedule. Like, it's got to go at midnight, and it's cool because you get to go farther and you get more sleep, but you don't get to hang with people. A lot of times you play the show, you get to go out to the bar till 11:30, and then everyone's got to get back on the bus, and the thing rides all night to the next show, as opposed to doing the 15-passenger van. You're usually staying in a hotel or at somebody's house, and I've a lot of my buddies who have moved on further in their careers than me and now are on a bus full time say, man, kind of miss the van days, So, of course, then the guys in the van are saying, man, I wish we could be on a bus, so.
Cool. What makes a great promoter, and how come? Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, because you probably dealt with a bunch of different promoters, and now especially since you got your own gig going on.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a good promoter?
Well, you're good, man. You're a good one.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still consider myself a rookie, but I got enough previous experience.
What makes a good promoter? The first thing to me, man, is an awareness around what the band, an awareness around the fact that the band is humans, and they have like some human needs. Like, they're gonna show up, and you're gonna have 5 dudes, and like, some of them are gonna be hungry and some of them are not. Some of them are gonna want a beer, some of them are gonna want a water. Someone's gonna want to take a nap. Someone's going to need to take a shower. Someone's got a dead phone and needs to charge and talk to their girlfriend. It's like, so often you show up and the promoter's just like, here's the stage, here's the time for this, here's the what. If you can get 10 minutes on the phone with someone when you're 2 hours away and they're like, yeah, we've got the landing pad all ready for you to pull in, and we got some waters, and we got some cold beers, and you got a place to sit and rest, and it's like just attention to the detail that like that you're dealing with people and they're gonna want to chill out a little bit and need some creature comforts makes such a huge difference, man. And then if you can do that, then everyone's happy, and then the work part just like falls into line. Like, of course, we're all here and we're all ready to work hard, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't ready to work hard, but it's really nice when people have a human element about them, and when you can get to know them a little bit, That's, to me, that's just like huge. Sometimes people just come in and they got this business face and they know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just like want to tell you what to do, and that's all good, but it's like, man, a good promoter can make you feel like you're having a good time, like a person that you want to be around, like a person that would throw a party that you would want to go to, not just like a person that would whatever. Yeah, like a person, like if you were throwing a party and you told me, I would be like, awesome, man, I definitely want to go to that party, and my friend in Savannah last night, same thing. Like, she's a really great promoter, and she pays attention to detail, and to people's needs, and it's just like, if she was throwing a party, I would definitely want to go to that party, and that's, to me, that's...
You are more than just a commodity.
Exactly.
Cool. I'm gonna fire off some questions real quick, man. Favorite car?
Oh man, 65 Mustang.
Nice.
Yeah, man. My dad had one when I was a little kid, a convertible, ragged out, you know. What's it called when the paint's like stripped, you know?
Yeah, primer.
Yeah, like a primer blue, blue and gray, original seats all torn up, you know, rag top with holes in it, man. One of these days when I get some money, I'm gonna get one of those. Man.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
65 Sting.
Mm-hmm.
Slayer, Grateful Dead, or Run DMC? I think you may have answered that earlier.
Yeah, man. I mean, I honestly like all of them, but and they've all got a place and time. But if that's a desert island question, Grateful Dead immediately.
I would agree, and I love the other two also.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, my last question for you here, and I may once again catch you off guard, but do you have like an inspirational quote that you can think of, or something that kind of gets you through each day?
Absolutely, man. There's a lyric. I don't know who wrote this song. But it's on an album. It's on an album of Cannonball Adderley and Nancy Wilson. You've heard of Nancy Wilson, the jazz singer. I think Cannonball discovered her working in a diner or something and brought her to New York and made this like her first like legit record, you know. And the A side is all her singing with Cannonball's band. The second side is just Cannonball's material, instrumental. But there's like 6 songs that she sings, and one of them. I can't remember. It might be. I can't remember what the title of the tune is, but anyway, that was a long way of getting to it. The lyric is, "You got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how are you going to have a dream come true?"
There you go. Bingo. Kyle,
it.
we're extremely excited to hear you present your new record tonight. Fireside Sounds. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.